can go to my Facebook or YouTube and see it, but they'll be able to see us.
Cool. That sounds good.
All right, guys, getting ready to record a live Enlightened conversation. Awesome guest today. Excited to introduce you to her. If you guys have any questions for either of us, I'll check the comments at the end. And share. All right.
I feel like I should be like Ricky Bobby right now. Like, what do I do with my hands?
I know. I'm trying to figure out a way where I could have all this going, but then as soon as you jumped on the Zoom, like I don't want somebody to jump like straight into a live stream. That's kind of strange. I want you to like have like a warning like it's live.
I mean, if we are jumping into a live stream, I feel like the screen needs to do like a puff of smoke or something. Like,
I know,
ta-da!
right?
Garbarati is alive.
So that's why I'm always like typing this out like as, and on Instagram they won't let you do copy and paste on what you say.
No.
So on the live, so I have to like type it manually. That no complaints though.
No.
Okay, live, ask questions, see us, such a incomplete sentence, but I'm trying to start this with you. See us both on my.
It's fine. Take your time. Use your
Facebook
commas.
and
If you do a semicolon, I understand. Grammar is important.
my English teachers all the way through, and my college professors told me that they loved reading my words because it sounded like I was talking, but my grammar was lacking, so they had to dock off points always. Said no, well, you just run on sentences. Like you got to use commas, periods.
You have to punctuate. My mom is actually a professional copy editor.
Oh my gosh, you like Noel.
So like I got like this fast pass through high school because I'd be like, "Hey mom, do you want to look at this paper that I just wrote? Will you tell me if it's punctuated correctly?" So it's like having like a built-in proofreader. It was very nice.
For sure. Okay, we're ready. Hitting record. As far as your title, as far as to introduce you as, I can't see your Instagram anymore. What do you want? What do you want me to say? Like Emily is a blank.
I am what I generally like my long title. I feel like it's talking like royalty or something ridiculous, but I'm a metaphysical coach, is what I genuinely am. So I help people to discover their purpose through unlocking their magical and spiritual gifts. That's like what I do. But I'm also a best-selling author as well. So if you want to put that in there too, that's kind of fun.
Awesome.
But I usually say best-selling author, metaphysical coach, and then natural intuitive because I'm an intuitive channel.
Okay. Awesome. Love it. Mm-hmm. Whatever out of you just whatever out of what you just told me comes out is what's going to come out right now.
Perfect. I love it. No complaints. That's what I was like. It sounds weird to even say I have a title. I have a title. I have a big one, but you can make it as small as you want. You can just say my name. There's only like 10,000 Emily Davises. It's cool.
Right? All right. Awesome. Recording. All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and to introduce you guys to today's guest. We have Emily Davis, who is in beautiful Lake Tahoe on the California side, not the Nevada side. I just found out that there's I didn't know exactly geographically how that worked, but she educated me before we went live here. Emily's awesome. She's a metaphysical teacher and coach and best-selling author. And I went on her Instagram page not too long ago and saw immediately how much she enjoyed sharing just love and light with the people that were, on her page and everything that she's doing, and knew we'd have a fun conversation, which is what we were getting ready to have today. And so excited to introduce you guys to her. Without further ado from me, introduce you to Emily. And Emily, if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So yes, you're dead on. I am a metaphysical coach is kind of the label that I've given myself because I kind of had to invent it because there's not really anyone else that I know that is doing specifically what I do. But in my business and my purpose in life is I help people to discover their purpose through unlocking their magical, intuitive abilities. So think psychics, mediums, that sort of thing. I deeply believe and know with all my heart that every person on this planet has those abilities. It's just a matter of unblocking them from where they're hiding and learning to use them without fear. the fear is so detrimental when it comes to that sort of thing. But we're all super magical, and if we can make magical more every day, that would be the best thing ever. So that's kind of like the overarching, like, this is what I actually do in my day to day. But it was kind of a long journey to get to this point. I've known of my own intuitive magical gifts. I call myself an intuitive and a channel, because I don't necessarily think that I fit under the blanket of the term psychic as much. It's not like I'm not very specific on future sight, but I more channel people's spirit guides and past lives and that sort of thing. I can talk to spirits in the room, people who passed away, and everything in between. And then I can also really feel people's energy fields and understand where their energy might be blocked or what's coming for them energetically, that sort of thing as well. So I've known of a lot of these gifts from as long as I can remember, basically since I was a little kid. And I remember telling my mom one time, like trying to tell her what was going on, and I was like 6, and she kind of like looked at me like, "Yeah, all right, go play, whatever you say, honey." I'm sure I explained it terribly, but during that was like my first realization, like, oh, I might be weird. Like, this is not normal. My mom doesn't know what it is, and she knows everything. Obviously, I don't know what to do. So that was when I first started to try to kind of suppress it, and there was a lot of fear around it because I didn't understand it. And all through, middle school and high school and adolescence, I kind of had that same trying to suppress it, but it would still come through, and I still knew it was there. I would still see things in my room that weren't there, and things along those lines. And then right out of high school, I ended up getting into a really severely abusive relationship that lasted for about 5 years. And within that relationship, not only did I lose all sense of who I was anyway, because that's what abuse does, but I also lost all of my magic. It was like completely shut off because you're in fight or flight and you're stuck in that mode all the time. There's no room for anything else. And after I got out of that, I was so excited because I'm like, my magic is gonna come back and it's gonna be the best thing that ever happened. I'm so excited. I'm like ready to use it. Like, screw what anyone else says. Like, I know this is part of me and I want it back, and it's something that's so unique and beautiful about myself. And then it didn't come back, and I was so distraught for months because I didn't understand why this part of me was still gone, and if he had taken this from me too, and all this other icky stuff. And then I finally decided, like, you know what? There's got to be a way to unblock my gifts. Like, there has to be a way to re-access this magic I know that is within me. And I went on a huge journey to basically discover how to be magical once more. And through that, that's really what I help people do now. Is I've boiled it down to an actual clear process that people can really actively use to reach their own magic, because everyone is unique and different, and you can unblock it and use it at will, and it's really cool.
I love, I
That's a
love,
big
I
thing.
love it. I love where this conversation is going right from the beginning. And
Good.
starting with, I love how you, because I love to make sure that we all realize that there are no like special breed of human that can only, access this energy, that can only, access these gifts. And you said that right off the bat, which is awesome. And
Yeah, everyone is magical.
yeah,
My motto is "You're magical as fuck." That's like that's
I
like
love it.
what I live everything by. Is every person I meet.
I love it. I love it. I mean, once we discover this and become aware of this, and the light bulb, turns on, when it comes to this, it just gives people so much confidence that they're not. Because I see, especially with like social media, like people like to look at what other people are doing and think that they're like a special breed of human that only they can do these things. They can only accomplish. They can only be happy. They can maybe this is not for me to have the relationship that I want, or the health that I want, or the finances that I want, or whatever it is. And so the reason I do anything that I do is just to help the light bulb pop on, so that
Mm-hmm.
we all know that we are powerful, and we can connect with this energy. Call it spirit, source, God, love, all that is, universe, whatever you want to call it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what is that connection, and the strength of that connection, and in the moment is what's allowing us to be able to flow out these gifts and to feel powerful, and because that's where the true power source is. I'm super
Yeah.
curious with you now, before I ask you this, I think it's also very interesting that, and awesome that your mom, even though like you described yourself as being a little weird. I think all of us are weird, just because, in weird meaning
Right.
unique. Like, we're also different. We have such different life experiences, and we're all drawn to different things, and all of this.
Yeah.
But I think it's awesome that your mom didn't like shut it down as like, because I always ask this question, like, when does someone discover, when does the kind of the light bulb switch on, or when did they discover certain things about themselves? And you said as long as you could remember, you noticed having
Yeah.
access to this power. But I think it's awesome that your mom didn't say, no, you're not seeing anything or hearing anything or feeling anything. Like, stop it. Don't be weird. Like, I think it's awesome that even though she might not have been like sitting there, which she might have, playing there with you. I don't know if she was or wasn't. She wasn't like telling you to like stop it or like suppressing. Is,
Right.
is that
Yeah, she was mostly like, I don't understand, but if that's happening, that's great. Go do your thing, kind of thing. And even in high school, she was really supportive because there was a period of time where I was so terrified of what was going on with me that I not only did I feel like I couldn't talk to anybody about it because I didn't think anyone would understand. Because you're in that period of time where you're like, no one talks about this, and it's really cool now that the conversation is more in the forefront, even on like social media, but this is like pre-Facebook, right? So I'm like, no one speaks about these things. I'm gonna sound insane if I talk about the fact that they're like every time I try to go to bed, there's people in my room talking to me or animals or whatever shows up that night. And there was a time, and I was like a junior or senior in high school, and I had my mom actually sleep in my bed with me almost every single night because I was so scared, and she didn't understand why, but she was just like, "Okay, like I'll do that for you, no problem." I don't know what you're scared of, but sure. And like that's how big of a thing it is. So it's huge that she did that. That being said, the fact that she didn't understand did leave like a little scar on my psyche for a long time of like, if she can't understand, who's gonna understand? No one's gonna understand. And that's, I think, part of the reason that I subconsciously started to block it anyway is just because I wasn't immediately met with like, oh, this is this, and so I didn't feel like there was an answer.
very interesting? Very interesting. And so, how did it, for you, how did it get to the point where you were like, okay, I've rediscovered, these gifts that I have, and taking it further, because I'm always curious, like, what takes someone from knowing things for themselves, having awareness for themselves, and seeing the benefits and the fun that evolves in their life, and then taking it a
Yep.
step further and wanting other people to be able to see that for themselves as well. Like, how did that process kind of go for you?
The best way I can describe it is there was a universal push that I was not in control of. I When I talk to guides, my own guides, like almost constantly. They're constant. I can constantly hear them and stuff. And there was a while ago, and it was kind of right at the start of the process of me really, really rediscovering my gifts. Like I cleared a lot of the trauma away, and stuff was starting to come out again. And so I started to feel really magical and connected again. And one of my guides came through really clearly and kind of told me that like, hey, your purpose is to spread this magic. Like you need to connect with people and connect people with this magic that you're feeling and you're so empowered in right now. And I was kind of like, yeah, okay, eventually I'll get there. And I wanted to write books my whole life. Like that's like my mission for everything. So even when I was working normal 9 to 5 jobs, I was still writing and doing all this stuff. And basically, um, I there was a moment where I was like, all right, I need to know what's next. Like I'm stagnant in my job. It's fine. It's a good job. I was working in HR, like as a manager, and I was like, it's a great job. People love it. I don't. So like, what do I do next? Like I was feeling this feeling of I'm not the person I'm supposed to be yet. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like this pull of like there's this ache that you're supposed to be this other thing. You're supposed to use this magic. You were given it for a purpose. I need to go do whatever that is. And basically, I ended up joining the author incubator. I wrote my book with them. I don't know if you know of them, but they're like an amazing. They help you write your book and really get your message out there. And through that process, right before I was like going to publish my book, and I was like really just like I was coaching people already, kind of just like on the weekends and stuff, more one on one, just kind of background, just helping them with their magic as it was coming through. And then I was really boiling down my process into steps through this book writing process and all sorts of different stuff. And I got laid off, just like magic, just like boom, you're laid off. Figure out what to do now. And you said it before, like I live in Lake Tahoe. There's like 10,000 people here. There's not a lot of opportunity to go get another HR management job, which is what I'm qualified for. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to do this way then. And that's what really kickstarted my active, this is my now whole world that I do all the time sort of journey. And that is really what fulfills me. And I am the person now, though I accomplished nothing I thought I would in my life. Like I had all these grand plans to do all this stuff, and none of it happened. But I am the person now that I always dreamed I would be, and that I think is the biggest
That's awesome. That's awesome. You just highlighted something, and I wouldn't say
win.
none of the things because you mentioned a dream of yours being to write books, so you accomplished that.
I did do that. I did write books, but it wasn't even the way I thought that would happen
Of
either, if
course,
that makes sense.
of
Like I've always
course,
wanted to write fiction, and then I write a nonfiction, and that's what
for
gets
sure.
published. I'm like, what?
I love what Emily's highlighting for all of us because it's so important, and it just shows that even times in life where in the moment like something that we would all consider to be challenging, like losing a job, in an area where it just doesn't seem, but how it propelled her into, what she's doing now. And, for all of us, like when we experience challenges, like I wasn't always like this. And, I'm not saying anybody should or shouldn't be this way. I just know that any challenge that I'm experiencing or have experienced up until now is what has propelled me, like Emily said, into what I'm doing now, the goals and dreams that I have now, like the excitement that I have for life. And I wouldn't eliminate any of them, even though, there's certain things where I'm like, ooh, it would be fun to have lived this way or do these things, at this time. If I had lived that way or done those things, I wouldn't be helping anyone that I'm helping right now. This podcast wouldn't exist. There'd be so many things in my life that wouldn't be if I hadn't had those life experiences that were definitely challenging, while going through them. What's been coming up a lot, and you mentioned it, and I actually was talking to a friend right before I got on with you because, like, I'm all about like I'm so about just enjoying the present moment, Emily, and not taking it for granted. That was my greatest weakness, 10, 15 years ago, and now is by far my greatest strength, which just shows any of us can evolve into whatever we want to evolve into. But it
Yeah,
really just
good
stems
job.
from that was by far my greatest weakness, and it was like a blind spot, and it was like messing up my energy a lot because I was just so
Mm-hmm.
focused on future, 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 and not being content with what was going on in the present moment.
Yeah.
But so like that's like my foundation, which helps in a lot of different ways as far as being aware of anything that might be getting my attention from the past, whether it be traumas and different things like this. It's been coming up a lot with a lot of different conversations as far as traumas and people trying to basically the goal for anybody is to not have the past, the traumas to affect the present moment, energy because it can and it could be a blind spot and not even know that that's what's happening. And I heard you mention it when you were just talking. What's your perspective on traumas and how they can a affect our right now energy and b like how if we can shine light on them and become aware of what's going on, how we can not they don't have to like run our lives like at all, like especially.
Totally.
Yeah, what's your perspective on it? Anything you're inspired to say about that just popped out just now because I heard you.
No, great question. I love talking about trauma, which is so weird, but I think trauma is such a good gift to heal because when we're triggered by something, we actually can see what it is we need to heal. If we're not triggered by that past stuff, how are we ever going to heal it? It's just going to stay dormant. This is an experience I had when I was healing from my abusive relationship. I got into a new healthy relationship with a wonderful human being. And that's when I was triggered to everything. I was like, I thought I healed all this, but now I'm in a new place where all of it's going to come back up, right? So that's how it affects. You might not even notice it's there anymore until all of a sudden it is there and it's going to affect you and hit you like a sledgehammer in the face and it's going to suck. So trauma is super intense. And I also always want to redefine trauma as like there's big traumas, which we always tend to define our lives in. Like if you're asked, oh, what is what's some trauma you've gone through, you're gonna tell them like your top three big traumatic events in your life. But there's also like little trauma, and both of them are detrimental not only to your magical gifts, but also just to like your day to day life. Anyway, so like little traumas would be like my mom saying like, okay, I don't really understand, but go outside and play. That would be like a little trauma. It still affected me psychologically, where I put caps on things, and it started me thinking like, huh, maybe I'm not normal, right? Which she didn't know she traumatized me. And there's a bunch of other times. I'm sure I do that to my kids where I don't know I'm going to traumatize them until later on. And then I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I see this now. This is why you have this pattern. But we have both sides. And being able to see those traumas and really start to dig into them is really the key of being able to move forward and really stepping into your purpose. A big part of my program is removing all of that trauma and all those blocks because it does not only helps you flow more real with your magic and flow more in your life and actually manifest things clearly and all sorts of stuff, but like your day to day is taken up by your actual day to day. You get to actually appreciate things in the moment. You actually get to have gratitude in the moment without a big thing for me specifically was like I was constantly wondering what didn't even have to be my partner. It was like my partner or my boss or my friend or whoever was thinking and what they were going to do and how they're going to react, so that I could preemptively act differently to block whatever they were going to do potentially in the future. Which is just like the
That sounds
craziest
hard.
cycle. It's just like, why do I even have to be in that place? Like my brain was just so spun up in that for so long, and like I would be in the present moment, but calculating every moment that might come afterwards to such a degree that it was impossible to be in the present moment. So yeah, trauma can affect everything. And specifically with your magic, like that's what's blocking it. And it doesn't even have to be trauma from this lifetime. It can be ancestral trauma you might have been carrying. It can be stuff from past lives you might be carrying. Those are realities too. And as you start to heal your stuff that you know of, the other stuff will come up because you've invited it, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Now, Emily, I've been accused, and probably as long as I'm here, will be accused of oversimplifying life. And just because, and that all boils down to wanting this moment to be, maybe I might not be in bliss right now in this moment. It's possible for all of us, but I also don't want to be like powerless and depressed, which I've been there, and I'm sure all of us have been there. So, if I could be at like a nice, like peaceful chill, like content, where, just be aware of that when I am or when I'm not, then I can allow momentum to carry me from peaceful and content to, ooh, that was a good idea, or ooh, that was a cool person that I just met, and that, or I'm excited about this, and now momentum is carrying me into, happiness, joy, ecstatic, bliss, whatever it is. So for me, it's just like being aware. And what I know and what gives me peace more than anything is in the moments where I am at peace or content or anything that feels good as far as emotionally that I can feel, in the body. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about the thoughts that pop into my head, the words that I speak, the actions that I take, because there's going to be a frequency match to that vibe. So I can just trust myself and be there. So if I'm aware of that, then I know I'm not condemning and judging myself or others. I know I'm not being critical of myself or others, which also that was a blind spot that I had to uncover years ago, just being critical of
Mm-hmm.
what I was doing or not doing or what other people were doing or not doing. And so like for me, the simplicity of life also comes knowing when I'm in an energy where I can feel at least at peace. I don't have to like put so much burden on trying to figure out all the stuff that I need to do, or maybe, if I don't do this way, then this person will be mad at me, or this. It just makes life way more complicated. So but I also understand like a lot of stuff that you described and that we talk about when it comes to trauma and things they're not in the light yet. Like we don't understand what's happening. So can't do anything about it, like to heal it or anything if you're not aware of it. So that's why I love, what you're describing and what everybody out there is doing as far as trauma work is if we can just help people shine light on something that right now it's in the dark so they don't know it's affecting them, their right now energy,
Mm-hmm.
and then also give people permission to, and I don't, because I'm not involved in everybody's work out there that's doing trauma work, but I just want to give anybody listening to this permission that if you know that your vibe is, you're at peace or content, or if you're happy, if you're smiling, you're laughing, you're joking, or anything where it feels good, like you can trust yourself in those moments, like the words that you speak, because you're never going to say mean, hateful, spiteful words out of a loving energy. This is not possible.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, your vibration is gonna even bring those thoughts into your mind. It's
Yeah,
like not it's even gonna be there.
for sure,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So
Yeah.
no, I love it. That's been coming up a lot just in the last few days, and um, I care so much about humanity and just anybody that I'm talking to, especially specifically, about these things. And I've noticed that a lot of times we want to overcomplicate things as humans, make things more
Oh,
challenging
one of
than
my
they have
big
to be.
philosophies is that healing should be fun. It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be another chore. It shouldn't be another difficult, painful concept that's big and hard to digest and you can't even look at it and it's another thing on your list. And that's actually what my book is about. My book isn't actually so much about magical stuff. It's more of like my process of making healing fun. So I turned healing from PTSD into a role playing game, like Dungeons and Dragons. And like that's what the book is about because it's so much about like, hey, like maybe we can actually make this a fun experience so that your brain doesn't think of it as just something hard and scary. Because I feel like again, humans overcomplicate everything, and anytime anything's overcomplicated, we like freeze and freak out and give ourselves 10,000 excuses not to do it.
I love it. I love it. So that's okay. So That's interesting. I was just with a friend last night that started. They took their first PTSD like coaching session. So your book is turns PTSD into Dungeons, and I like that, into fun. I'm
Yeah.
going to make sure that they know about this. Not coincidence.
Yeah, it's called Damsel No More, and basically, it's you get to create a character, and your biggest fear is your monster that you're going to take on. And every time you go through a chapter, you get a new piece of gear, and you put that with your character, and like you level up, and you do quests, and it's fun.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So one thing I love, and you've been doing it already this whole episode, and one thing I love asking people, Emily, because the cool thing about the internet is like people will experience this episode where we're just flowing energy back and forth right when it's released, and then there's people that could stumble upon this 10 years from now or whatever, and it's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. What is something that you would want humanity to know just whenever they are attracted to this episode that you feel whenever they hear it, it will impact them and impact their lives? It could be anything that's coming out.
Ooh, okay. The biggest thing I always say is like never forget how magical you are. Like even in those moments when you're like doubting or you feel like everything's horrible or whatever, like you're still a magical human being, and you singularly are so essentially important. Like things like astrology and stuff proves it. Like we all have our own precise fingerprint of why we have come here, the reason we were incarnated this time, and you will have that no matter what choices you make. No matter what choices are going on, no matter what is happening in your life, you have a purpose. And if you can remember to fall back in a line and be like, I'm not alone, and I have this purpose, and I'm going to keep doing the next right thing and just keep going the best I can, then that is the biggest piece of advice I can ever offer anyone. And
That's
that's my
awesome.
biggest thing, I think.
I love it. I love it. That's so awesome because yeah, when we're in the midst of like dark times, like we definitely are not thinking that we're magical or anything. So I love the reminder for everybody because just
Mm-hmm.
because we can't feel the connection with God, universe, love, all it is, source, because we can't feel the connection when we're frustrated, worried, depressed, powerless, angry. But it doesn't mean that we're not still connected. Like the same non-physical energy is what's flowing through all of us that's allowing our hearts to beat and the planets to
Mm-hmm.
orbit and all of these things. So once, like, it gave me so much confidence when I realized that that's me. Like that energy is who I am, and that this physical body is just it's just the shell that I'm playing in right now. And when it's time that Noel's done playing in this shell and Emily's done playing in this shell, we'll probably be here 100+ years longer. So I'll put that out for you
Right.
also, Emily. But whenever that time is up, like just knowing that
Mm-hmm.
that energy is still going to be who and what I truly am,
Mm-hmm.
can give peace to any of us, knowing that, and it also can. Because for me, Emily, what I love is knowing that any question that we have about life, whether it be a how question, like how can I make more money, or how can I get healthier, or how can I, have a cool relationship, or whatever it is, like even if we don't know the answer to that question right here and now, which unlikely we do if we're asking the question, we
Right.
know the answer, we probably be excitedly moving
Like,
towards it.
please send me an answer. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. But just what gives me so much peace is knowing that any question that I ask, when I'm in the frequency where I can actually hear or see the answer, which again normally is when I'm peace and content or feeling happy or joyful, just cool with life, to where now I can hear the answer. It can pop into our mind when we're taking a shower or watching a
Yep.
Netflix or anytime. Like there's no limit to how answers
Or
can
the
find us.
stranger in the grocery store line all of a
For
sudden is
sure,
like, hey,
for
you're like,
sure.
oh, thanks.
It's in
Mm-hmm.
infinite ways. Like that makes life so much more fun and easier and adventurous, because we don't have to figure out exactly how the answer is going to find us. But just if we just really know, and all of us can know, because there's no special breed of us where one of you out there doesn't have the ability to receive the answers to any life question that you have. You have that ability also. But just know when it's not going to likely come, probably never, is when we're like being angry or mad or like blaming someone. Like that's not normally the time where we get the good idea that sets us free, or we're like, oh,
Yeah.
super excited.
Right.
so so don't make yourself wrong for being frustrated or angry or whatever it is. It's part of life, and that life experience is what gives us new clarity and new direction, as far as oh, that was a rough experience, so now I know I want to experience this and this. So all those experiences are awesome also. But just knowing, as far as like what gets a lot of us anxious, is the confusion, the lack of clarity, where we want to know answers to life's questions and we just don't have them readily available. If we can get, any of us can get to the point where we're just able to release those and just know that they'll find us when we're ready to hear them and see them, that can make life way easier. And I don't know why I started talking about this. You said something, Emily, that triggered all this, but I'm happy
That's
that it
okay.
came out.
One big thing that I always tell people to do, kind of in that same vein, is like I've had people ask me before, like, what's the quickest tip, or the first tip you can give to help people really start tuning into their magic? And I'm like, oh, this one's so easy and it's super fun. I call it selecting a validation, where you pick a symbol of some capacity that means something to you, and then you just ask the universe to send it whenever you need guidance. And so then you don't have to worry, like, oh, maybe I can't hear. Maybe, like, doesn't matter. You just ask if send this to me if I'm on the right path, or send this to me if I need guidance on something. So for like me, mine is rainbows, which I live in a place where it doesn't rain. So when I first picked it, I was like, why? Why did I choose rain? Like, I'm never gonna see that here. Like, it literally is snowing or sunny, and there is no in between. I don't understand what's gonna go on. And like that day, my daughter came home. She's like, "Look, Mom, I learned how to draw rainbows." And she had like a page like
Wow.
hovered in rainbows. And so it's that simple, where we can ask for those signs, and actually they will come to us. And if you boil it down to something simple, like symbolic, like a symbol, it could be like 1111, or I have a client who does red cardinals, or stars, or whatever is your thing, and just ask for that to be sent. Then you can really start building that relationship with the universe that will eventually help you open up to hearing and seeing those answers that you need more clearly.
I love that. And that was so awesome how you just shared that, because my only other question that I had, like, that I was like, I have to make sure I ask Emily this before we close, is if you could share like some type of tip or trick that, is useful when it comes to, and you just shared it like so beautifully. Like
Yeah,
being
well,
able
thank you.
I love it. Like I love when this happens a lot, when I have a question but the guest just answers it. Like I don't have to actually verbally ask it. Just shows that frequencies are in tune, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, that's one of my best tips, I think,
I love that.
because it's freaking magic. Like right away, you'll be
Yeah,
sent your thing, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this just happened."
for sure. And we gain confidence as human beings by having, little small wins, little successes. And when we can show ourselves how magical we are, I love that you use that word. I like to use it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's more fun than powerful. But it's the same thing. Like for me, it's like I was gonna say, if we show ourselves how powerful we are, but magical we are, I like that too. It makes it more fun.
Uh-huh.
Um,
The connotation is more like wizardy as opposed to
yeah,
like power.
I mean, it is like if we think of like the synchronicities that we enjoy in life, things that we could never predict, like it is like magic. I mean, there's so many cool situations, and those are the parts of life that I love the most. The parts that I can never predict, the adventurous parts where it's like, wow, like. And I like to say when cool stuff happens, like the universe is so not subtle. Like it's just not subtle. Like it's like for your daughter to bring home a rainbow pictures is like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even have to go
Yeah.
outside to see the rainbow; it just came right to me. Like, so that's awesome. I love it. What are you excited about, Emily? Right now, at the time of the recording, at the beginning of 2020, what do you have going on this year? What are you excited to share the audience or anything? What's going on in the world of Emily right now?
I am just so excited about so many different things. I actually just kind of expanded my readings menu, so I'm doing more magical readings for people. So I'll do like past life for people, or spirit guide messages, and that's been really fun, because that's where I get to use like really flex my gifts. So I've loved doing that recently. I've really got to expand, which is really nice. And also, my program that I run is called Magical Boot Camp. It's really cool and kind of taking off, and I'm really excited about that as well, because that's so cool. And that is really, it's like 9 weeks, and at the end of 9 weeks you know your magical gifts and how to use them and what your purpose is. Like, that is freaking cool, and I definitely don't want to take credit for it, because I totally think it was divine inspiration. But that is like really something that's been really neat as well. And then also, I co-host a metaphysical comedy podcast called Perceptionist Anonymous, and it's been so much fun. It's been one of those random amazing blessings that is just kind of sparked out of nowhere and has been such a great journey. So that's another thing I'm stoked on. And then my book comes out in paperback this fall in all bookstores, and I am so excited. I just want to hold it so bad.
Well, tell us the name of your book again.
My book is called Damsel No More,
Okay.
and that's actually also my website as well. So if anyone wants to get a hold of me in any sort of capacity, you can go to damselnomore.com, and on there I offer one free question, like reading question, if you want to do that, where I will give you guidance on whatever question you need, whether it's future sight or message from your guides or whatever it is. So that's all on my website, which is damselnomore.com. And that's also where you can set up a free clarity session with me if you want to join Magical Boot Camp.
Awesome, awesome. You guys will see that right here in the description. Definitely, my best encouragement is any energetic pull towards connecting with Emily, whether it be to speak with her, do a reading, or just following her on social media, is a really, really great idea because what I've learned about life, like anytime we have a energetic pull towards anything, we're like, that's interesting. Like it doesn't even have to be stronger than that. I used to say something had to be like a hell yes for me to be excited to do it. Then I was like, that's silly because even if it's like a slight energetic pull and like
Right.
there's something there as far as a life experience, because that's all it's going to lead to is a life experience. So that life
Hmm.
experience is going to give us more clarity as far as things we like, things we don't like. And then you never know where that could lead to that new life experience that, if we just choose not to kind of follow up on that energy, it'll come in a different way, but that is something
Yeah.
that, so,
I mean, that boils down even to like the books you read or the things you watch.
mhm,
Like, if you're feeling a pull to watch this one thing, like
for sure.
maybe it's mirroring something you need to integrate or something. Like, you never know where it's going to lead. And energetically, the world is so vast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My life, Emily, is like, okay, if I have option A or B, which one has the stronger energetic pull? Okay, I'm gonna do that one. Like that's literally how I live like through the whole day. Now, if I have something
That's
already scheduled, obviously I schedule it with that same thing. Like I'm excited to schedule something, so I keep going on that, even if like in the moment, like maybe I'm like, oh, I'd rather go do this. I'm still like I'm super excited to do this thing that I schedule. Um,
hmm
but just in everyday life, it's like we always pretty much can do something like watch the Netflix or not watch the Netflix. Like what feels
hmm
more resonant with you? Like there's something there that for entertainment that lift my frequency vibration, or maybe there's something there for you to see, like Emily just described. Like who knows? But
Yeah.
I, if you're,
I'm actually on a panel at Comic Con. I can't say which Comic Con yet because it hasn't officially been announced. But I'm going to be on a panel at Comic Con talking about high vibration fiction and high vibration fandoms and things that like raise your vibration, and how important like our the things that we love and are drawn to are to our like mental state and our vibrational state and our emotional state because it's such a cool conversation to have.
yeah,
Like there's shows that you'll be like, ooh, I feel pulled to that, and they'll shows you'll be like, why do I feel gross now? And like there's like this big difference, and if you can tune into that, it's such a cool window into yourself.
so true, so true. Like I encourage everybody, if you're ever doing anything, I don't care what it is, that you're feeling good while doing it. Like it's just like a good feeling to do it. Whether I don't, it doesn't matter to me what it is. You could just be chilling like in the corner, like feels good to sit Indian style in this corner of the room. Like do it. Like it's such a good moment of life because I mean that's the only moment promised. So if you're like enjoying it or just like chilling, like what else would you rather be doing? Like not enjoying it? Because there's going to be so many moments where we're like, they're challenging and we're not going to enjoy them too. So the ones where we are, like my advice is see how much like you can fully enjoy it. Like if I know I'm enjoying a moment of life, Emily, like my phone doesn't exist, like nothing else is distracting me. I just want to see how much I can get out of like selfishly, how much can I enjoy this moment? Like nothing else matters right now. I just want to see how much fun I can have and that could
That's
turn into a
awesome.
lot. We're
I
magnetic in
think
that state.
everyone should live that way. That's amazing. I immediately am like, oh, I'm going to enjoy every moment today.
Right. I mean,
Good job.
and the ones where we're just not. But I'm very aware when I am, and I'm like this conversation, like it's just, I come into these podcasts, and I'm like, how much fun can I have? Like that's literally my
Mhm,
only intention because I know we're gonna impact the audience wherever direction it goes. And you shared
mhm.
tons of awesome stuff, and I love what you're doing with your boot camp. One because I mean, it could set someone up to where they could go off and help people and share like you're sharing, like on purposely like teaching and coaching, or it could just remind them, which is going to do either way. It's going to remind them how powerful they truly are, and then they can just be that example, which is the best teacher for any of us is like just be the example of what you want to see in the world, and then that's going to people are going to see you living that way, and you'll be able to inspire them and uplift their vibration, and it's just awesome either way. So
Yeah.
I love what you're doing.
Yeah, one of my clients, she's like at the end of it, she's like, she has a very successful job that she doesn't want to leave. She doesn't want to do anything with this, like to make money or anything, but she was just like, I never realized that my how my purpose was to just have as many conversations with people as possible. Like that's what my purpose is. And she was like, I feel so aligned now that I can like sense that and know that. And that's like exactly it. It's like, yes, you might really want to go start, coaching people or being an active medium or whatever your specific gifts are, because everyone has their own. Some of them might not even have names yet. Like I definitely have gifts that I don't even know how to talk about in words because no one has one. And you might too. Like everyone has their own set. And then some people are like, I'm going to use this for my own practice, to get my own clarity, and to show up because I know my purpose is to. My kids are going to have the most amazing life possible, and they're really what's going to change the world. And my purpose is to raise them in an aligned, enlightened way. It's like awesome. Like that's great too. I think that's a perfect purpose, and everyone has their own. So thank you for synopsizing that perfectly. Great.
I love it. No, I love it. Once the light bulb switches on for any of us, like I'm just excited for that human because all of us when we first came from non-physical, we were just little unconditional loving little beings. Like we had it. Like we had it. We had life down. Like we could just be joy. We'd be hungry. We're hungry. We'd cry a little bit. It's all good. Like we were just living life.
Right.
And then as a lot of us become into going into school and our teenage years and we start telling ourselves, others start telling us, the world tells us that we're not good enough, we're not enough. And then I just want for everyone to have the light bulb switch back on because then you can't, once you're an adult and the light bulb switched on, you can't unremember that. And so once we know how powerful we are, then I'm just like rooting for you to see whatever it is that you choose to go out there and create for you while you're here, whatever you feel is, your purpose to be here and what you're in alignment with, go for it. There's 7.7 billion of us and none of us have lived the same life experience. So we're all going to want to do, different things. And the woman that you mentioned is awesome. Like I say, I have an agreement with the universe that anytime someone comes into my path that I could just tell like there's something that I could share with them to help the light bulb switch on for them. Not even like I'm seeking them out, just like they could be standing next to me waiting across the street and just say something about how life is, like affirm something. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to share something with you that I just take it for what it is.
Like, I have an agreement to be a spirit guide for people. So, like, just let me say something.
Yeah, for sure. So, and you don't have to like seek it out. Like once you're like in that place where, like, I know for sure, like whoever you were mentioning has people that are just brought into her path now, that she can have conversations with that uplifts her because it feels great to have this stuff flowing through us for sure. And then it uplifts the person that is there, and it probably happens so much now that she's open to it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really say, like, the key to turning on that light bulb again is your freaking imagination. Like, it's your God mind. Like, it's where you get to create the reality around you. And so always be conscious. Like, are you imagining all of the horrible outcomes that might come from a conversation with your boss? Or are you imagining, like, how awesome and yummy the food is that's going to nourish you tonight? It's going to be, like, focus on what you're imagining, and that's really going to help you really tune into the frequencies and really open yourself back up to that realization of like how magical you are, because what you imagine really is what your intention becomes and what the reality becomes behind it.
So powerful what Emily just shared. Rewind that. I had to mute my volume because they're not drilling here, so I could hear it, and I didn't want that to mess up your flow. Have you hear it? But I was like, let me mute this because I don't want to mess Emily's flow up because she's flow for the audience. Rewind that and listen to what Emily just said. Like that's so powerful what she just described when it comes to our imagination, and that's really like once we can hold it in our head, like we can hold it in our hand and see it in our physical reality, and it's just a matter of tuning into that frequency and seeing it flow out of us and manifest and just enjoying the whole evolving of it. Like that's just the biggest thing. Like I'm so grateful just for life period, but just knowing that all the things that I imagine and want to see in the world, it's just a fun to be on the journey, not even knowing how it's going to all happen or what awesome person I'm going to meet along the way that's going to like put even more like gasoline on the fire. Like just so much fun to have things that you're excited about, and then at the same time to be able to release it and not need to know how, what, when, where, who. Because once we start, I've been there. Once you start trying to get all that in order, like before it's ready, good luck on manifesting anything anytime soon. Because besides more like stress, worry, and anxiety, because that's kind of what our frequency is on if we're focusing on things that we can't control right now. So.
Yeah, focus on the why, not the what, not the how, but the why you want it, why it's essential to your being, why it's important, and the energy and feeling of what it would have to have that thing, that why, and that's what's really going to help.
I love it.
For sure.
I love it. Well, you're awesome, Emily. I really appreciate you coming on and playing with me and sharing this awesome energy. We're reflecting each other. I've already once the universe shows me that someone can answer a question from me without me having to say it, then I know like we're on the we're on the same frequency.
Like we got this. We're on the same wavelength. Fine.
So just do a podcast like that one day. Just give really high vibe before we hit record, and then just try to do it without any questions being asked. Just see if we could just flow it the whole time. Like, yep.
Just like back and forth.
Yeah. I love it. Well, if there's anything else that you want to share with the audience, I never stop people from flowing out, but you've shared so much, and I just appreciate you for coming on and sharing your love and light. And I'm excited for people to now know. The cool thing about social media is like now we all know each other exists. Not all of us, but billions of people.
I actually was reading I was reading an article the other day, and it said that the degrees of separation between human beings, how it used to be like 7 degrees of separation, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we would know every seventh person, or, like that concept, is
Mm-hmm.
now, because of the internet, been like squished down to 4. So there's only 4 degrees
Wow.
of separation between every person.
I
And
believe
I
it.
just think that's like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, wow, yay, we're closing gaps of like understanding between people and stuff. Like, that is so neat.
That's super neat. I was wondering like what, because yeah, I used to say that a lot, like 7 degrees, but I was like, it can't be because it's so easy to find people that we didn't know existed, and like that's my favorite way to use social media to impact, but then also to be able to know that some of you guys out there that right now I don't know exist, soon we'll know each other exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well,
Oh,
well, thank you so much, and thank you guys out there for tuning in to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Definitely share this episode; it will be greatly impactful for someone that is on your life or in your social media, or and definitely if you haven't already, make sure you rate and review the podcast. Make it easier for people to find. Subscribe if you're not already, and we'll keep talking to awesome humans like Emily and just having fun sharing all this love and light with you all. Thank you, Emily, again for coming on. I'm
yeah. Thank you
super
for having me. This has been great.
yeah, I'm super happy. I'm super excited to see what you choose to flow your energy into. Now that I know you exist, like I know everything that you flow your energy into and choose to create while you're here is going to be awesome. And I will definitely. I already have people in mind that I want to share your book with, because that's just an awesome
Oh,
concept. That
thank
anything
you.
that we can do to take a serious thing and make it
Uh-huh.
playful, I'm all for.
Yeah.
Make it more fun. I'm
Yeah.
all for.
Uh-huh. I agree. It's my philosophy. I totally get it.
I put serious in heavy quotes, and I could go into a whole reason why, but I just I'm so appreciative to be here right now that I just don't take life that serious, because if I'm getting to breathe in this moment and my heart's beating in this moment, I've already won, for as far as for today. So everything else is just kind of like, how much fun do you want to make it?
And fun breeds fun too. The more fun you put out, the more fun you're gonna get back. And laughter is like the best medicine in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you're awesome, Emily. All you guys out there, awesome. Sending tons of positive vibes. Happy New Year. Saying it all year. I've decided it's no cutoff date. I don't know when to stop saying
I
it.
mean,
So
that's fair. It's 2020.
yeah.
You have a
So
clear vision of what the year's gonna be. You can say Happy New Year as much as you want.
happy new decade. I guess I could say that like for the next few years, and it could be fine. Awesome.
Like, I
Well,
can blow it out of the park.
yeah. Well, we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you for tuning in, and have an amazing day whenever you hear this. Awesome. That was fun, Emily. You're
That
an,
was super fun.
you're an awesome
Thank
human.
you. That's great.
Yeah, I knew we would have a fun conversation. I could tell from your